G'day legends, it's your boy Jacko G-Freak here, coming at you with another brand new video, and we're going to be talking about week 2 of the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 beta. It's been a crazy week, but I've got to share my thoughts because the game has changed quite a little bit, and my thoughts have also changed alongside it as well. Like I said in the previous video, my thoughts aren't final. They are dynamically moving when it comes week to week of the game with its release. It's not perfect, but it's playing a lot better than it was before. Let's jump right into it. First up, let's talk about the Jackal nerf and overall weapon balance. In week 1, man, the Jackal was everywhere. Like 80 to 90% of the lobby was running it. I get it. It was a beast. You couldn't walk 5 steps without getting shredded by one. This weekend, after the nerf, we've got a bunch of variety, which is great with different guns. I've seen more people branching out to SMGs like the C9, which, by the way, has been an absolute game changer for me in close range gunfights. If you keep your engagements under 15 meters, it's lights out for those Jackal users. I do still see people rocking the Jackal though, but I reckon it's more because the people, they've already leveled it up and they're comfortable with it. But if you ask me, the smart move is to move on and try different guns based on the range. ARs are solid if you're playing a bit more distance, and it seems like a weapon balance is starting to come together a bit more. It's still a versatile gun. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like no longer the king of the hill every situation like it was in week 1. I'm still personally a massive AIMS 5 user. That AR still slaps. I still really do prefer it, and that's just my playstyle. Now, let's shift gears and talk about stability, because as much as I love this game, the skips and stutters are absolutely killing me. You're probably seeing it in this gameplay right now. At times, it's very quick, and it's not my OBS capturing device or my settings. It's happening in real time. I get it. It's the beta. It's pretty much a game demo, but when you're in the heat of the moment and the gunfight and the game stutters, it's beyond frustrating. One of my second aim down sights, and next minute I'm skipping frames and the internet just crashed. It's ridiculous. It's so inconsistent. Some games I feel they're buttery smooth and I'm vibing, but then I'll load into another game and the stutters are so frequent that it feels like I'm playing in quicksand. From what I can tell, this issue is either server related or maybe even tied to the game's optimization on a different platform. But whatever it is, Treyarch needs to iron out those, because these skips and stutters can make or break the game experience, especially for fast-paced modes like Domination or Hardpoint on those smaller maps that we've seen. It's something to keep an eye on, as they will refine it in the beta. I really hope. Well, I'm hopeful. Fingers crossed. We'll see how we go. Speaking of issues, we've got to talk about the desync. Week 1 was rough, and I mean rough for me and others amongst the community. Even when I had a low ping, I felt like the second half I was behind everyone. It was kind of weird. Like, it was like I was playing some hardcore mode, getting melted by 2 bullets while I had to empty mags to try to get a kill. It didn't make sense. But now in week 2, it feels like they flipped the switch. I'm not dealing with the same desync issues anymore. The game feels way smoother and more in sync with what's happening on my screen. Of course, this is just my experience though. I've seen other players complain about their desync issues actually get worse in week 2. I get it. The desync is tricky. It's tricky to nail down. But for me, the game feels more fair, and it's a huge step forward in the right direction, in my opinion. Let's move on to the spawns, which one of the most frustrating aspects of week 1 for me. If you played last week, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Enemies were spawning in the most random spots, and it felt like the game had no idea how to handle the map control. You'd have enemies pop up behind you, even though your team was controlling that part of the map, which led to a lot of chaotic and unpredictable fights. I couldn't establish any rhythm in matches, and the flow was just off. But now in week 2, I've definitely noticed some improvements. The spawns feel a lot more logical. You're not seeing as many random spawns in the middle of nowhere. Map control is actually a thing again, and it's great for competitive modes. When spawns make sense, you can play with strategy, and it adds more depth to the gameplay. That being said though, the spawns on Babylon, well, they're a nightmare. It's a tiny map. It's like their new shipment. I am a big fan of the map, like just for the chaotic side of things, for getting your camos and whatnot, yada yada yada. And I am looking forward to that. Like KD this year is just not going to matter. Just who gives a shit? Get your camos and play Warzone. But that being said, the spawns of Babylon, they are shocking. It's a tiny map, and the spawn system just can't handle it yet. I've had matches where enemies were literally spawning right in front of me, and there was nothing they could do or I could do to a degree, because there were so many of my bullets were just trying to chop through people and I had to reload. So I'm hoping they collect more data and fine-tune that map. But for now, Babylon is rough, but I like it, as you can see on this gameplay throughout the video. Now, let's take a quick breather from the negatives and talk about the positive change, which is mantle and weapon swap speeds. In week 1, swapping weapons felt really painfully slow. You'd pull out your pistol, and by the time you did, you're already dead, and then you're spawning running again. You know, you literally spawn running in this game. Mantling was just as sluggish. But I've noticed a significant improvement this week. Even without the fast hands perk, swapping weapons feels much more responsive, and mantling doesn't slow you down nearly as much. This might seem like a small change, but in the game where every second counts, it makes a huge difference. In those little quality of life improvements that make the game feel snappier, more responsive, and ultimately more enjoyable to play. And finally, let's talk about the footstep audio. Something that's often overlooked, but super important in week 1 is footstep audio was all over the place. Sometimes you'd hear enemies running up behind you, and sometimes you wouldn't hear a thing. It was inconsistent, and in a game like Call of Duty, that's a big deal. In week 2, it seemed like they've cleaned it up a bit. I'm hearing footsteps more consistently, which helps a lot more with situational awareness. The volume isn't crazy high like it was in Modern Warfare 2 or 3, but when you could hear someone sprinting across the map, it feels balanced. If you're in a quieter area, you can pick up on enemy footsteps a bit easier, but if there's a lot of gunfire explosions, the footstep audio doesn't overpower everything. This makes it more realistic, and it means that I don't have to rely on my ninja perk as much to move around the map. And that's a wrap for my thoughts of week 2 of Black Ops 6 Beta. Overall, I'm definitely seeing more improvements, but it's not perfect yet. There are still a lot of tweaking things that need to be done before the full release, but I'm feeling quite optimistic. As always, this is just my experience, and I'm curious to hear from you guys and your thoughts in the comment section below. How's your experience been in week 2 compared to week 1? And are you guys seeing improvements, or has the game gotten worse for you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates and gameplay. I'll catch you guys later in the next one. Peace out. Woo!